It's 6 o'clock on Monday, the 23rd of December, 2019. Good evening and thank you for tuning in to the English edition of Ora News. My name is Christopher, bringing you the only update of the local Albanian news translated into English. A resident of the village in Mërqi in Kruja denounces a scandal with commissioners selected to investigate the earthquake damages. He claims that to assess this apartment, according to him badly damaged, a drunken commissioner went to his home. Meanwhile, hundreds of families left in tents in the middle of the winter say they spent 24 hours in extreme conditions after a heavy rainfall. Identified by name and surname, this resident of the village of Mërqi in Kruja denounces a scandal with a commissioner selected by the municipality to identify the consequences of the November 26th earthquake. As it's completely broken, he's telling me that it's inhabitable. How is it habitable, I said. If one half of the building that's broken falls down, it'll bring the rest of the building down to the ground. I tried to clarify this with him, but he had been drunk. For nearly a month now, Mark Trok's family has been living in a tent in their backyard as they feel unsafe to go inside. They say that the night between Sunday and Monday was one of the most difficult nights due to the heavy rainfall and the overflow in the Ishim River. There was nothing we could do. We went inside and just stood still. Such was the night for hundreds of families in the districts of Durrës and Lezhë, which the earthquake left without homes, while the state institutions left them with summer tents in the middle of the winter. I'm scared to sleep here because the river flooded last night and my house collapsed. Different location, same problem, also in Furs Maburas. But despite the difficulties they are living in, the earthquake-affected families in rural areas continue to refuse to leave their homes because their livestock, they say, is among the only assets they have from which they can survive. The Vjosa River overflowed in Novosel, returning fears of floods after intense rainfall. Authorities are on the alert as the following situation will have been said to depend on the flow of the river, as the tide of the sea prevents proper discharge at the river's mouth. Intense rainfalls also caused problems in other areas of the country. This was the view of the Vjosa River this Monday after intense rainfalls that swept the country for about 24 hours. Near the Mifold Bridge, water reached a height of 6.34 meters and consequently overflooded next to the livestock market. The situation brought back old memories of previous floods, but local authorities reassured that there was no danger at the moment. Everything depends on the river's flow from Gjirokastër and Greece, which, according to the mayor of Vlora, are declining. Water levels are falling except for the fact that near the estuary, the level is rising, and this indicates that the tide is doing its job. 3 houses by the river are the most endangered. Locals say that they were advised to leave the area. Emergency headquarters say that the tide is obstructing the normal flow of river water, as these images show the seawater in the village of Delusif. Work at the port of Vlora remains suspended for fishing boats and medium boats, while ferries are expected to travel normally. Meanwhile, the outflow of the river Ishim in Kruja has flooded several tents and hectares of land in some villages and surrounding several houses. Rainfall caused rocks and soils to slip on some roads across the country, but without causing serious traffic problems. Oil men will knock on the Energy Ministry's door of Belinda Baluku tomorrow to demand an answer for their abandonment from the Ministry of Energy. They will protest in front of the ministry and the company managing the refinery for 3 salaries and 8 months of unpaid insurance. As for abuses over the years, they request investigation by the special anti-corruption structure in the Prosecutor General's office. Balsh oil refinery workers warned protests in front of the Ministry of Energy in search of payroll and accounting information. They claim they haven't been paid for 3 months' salaries and 8 months' worth of insurance. Abandoned and disappointed by government firms and services, they say they will demand an answer from Minister Baluku as well. Asking for a solution regarding this issue, they are demanding an investigation by SPAC in the new general prosecutor's attention for their concerns and abuses as oilmen. Balsh refinery staff determined the escalation of protests after a meeting with the mayor of Fier, where they say they didn't come to a solution for their requests. The Democratic League of Kosovo hasn't backed down from seeking the post of the president. In a speech on the 25th anniversary of the founding of the party, the mayor Isa Mustafa asked the Vetëvendosje movement to read the outcome of the October 6th elections in order to achieve a balanced deal. The leader of the Democratic League of Kosovo, Isa Mustafa, urges the Vetëvendosje movement to read the results of the October 6th election itself in order to come up with an idea for the government. According to the leader of the DLK, the 2 parties are equal, and for this reason, future coalition achievements must include all the institutional posts, including the post of the president. He made these declarations on the 30th anniversary of the founding of the LDK. We believe that the Vetëvendosje movement should also read the results fully and admit that we are also equal subjects that have come out of the election with a difference of one deputy, for which we basically agreed that the position of Prime Minister belongs to our partners since entering in the elections, Mustafa said. The DLK leader also calls for unity within the party, where he suggested that personal ambitions to be surpassed and not disrupted. The DLK needs unity to have personal ambitions and naturally thought improvements to pass differently and not by the rifts within our subject, he said. On the 30th anniversary of the founding of the DLK, Mustafa also demanded the whitewashing of the killings of government officials of this party, where he said highlighting the cases as a debt and a duty for Kosovo's future. "80,000 Syrian refugees to Turkey flee the war. Europe, especially Greece, will feel the pressure," says Erdogan. Thousands of Syrians that are leaving the conflict since November are hoping to find shelter in Turkey. Turkish President Erdogan says the situation is becoming unbearable, acknowledging that the country now accommodates around 3.7 million other refugees and has sought the help of the international community. Turkish President Erdogan said on Sunday that about 80,000 migrants are trying to flee to Turkey to escape the Russian and Syrian bombings in the northwestern province of Idlib. If the violence against Idlib's residents does not stop, this number will increase even more. In that case, Turkey will not hold this weight alone. The negative consequences of the pressure on us will be felt by all European states, especially Greece. Erdogan declared Ankara currently shelters about 3.7 million Syrians, the largest number of refugees in the world. The remaining 3 million still live in the province of Idlib, the last Syrian region controlled by rebel fighters and jihadists line up against President Bashar al-Assad. Turkey intends for refugees who are sheltered in the country to return to a so-called northeastern Syrian safe zone, which was seized by Kurdish forces following an offensive in October. President Erdogan has called for the refugee plan to be widely endorsed. Otherwise, Turkey will be forced to open its gates and relocate hundreds of thousands of Syrians across Europe's borders. The president of the Turbina Football Club, Gentian Joka, was released under house arrest a few days after being seized with illegal weapons in the former block area of the capital. The same verdict was given in two different cases before the Tirana and Vlora courts. The president of the football club was arrested on the evening of December 19th in the capital, and after a physical search in the apartment revealed a pistol with cartridges found. The operation, according to the police, was carried out after information was provided from citizens that a man was about in the city with a firearm. Subsequent verifications revealed that Joka was wanted on behalf of the Vlora police for the criminal offense of fraud. Although he was a wanted person, he moved around freely, armed in one of the most frequented areas in Tirana. For the offense of unlawful possession of a firearm, the old penal code provided for imprisonment from 3 to 7 years, while with the new amendments, the punishment provides for imprisonment from 7 to 15 years. Despite toughening the sentence for those offenses in the criminal code, the court has left the 45-year-old under house arrest until the end of the investigation. And that's the news across the country today. Thank you for watching our English edition this evening, and be sure to join us again every Monday to Saturday at 6 p.m. for the latest news from Albania. Once again, on behalf of Ora News, thank you and good night.